computer. All right, welcome everyone to this week's Blitz.js Meetup. So excited to see all of you, and I have a couple good presentations lined up for you. So I think I don't think I have anything else to go over. Simon Knott will be giving us a lightning talk about a library that he's been working on. And he is one of our level 2 maintainers, and he's super smart guy, super nice guy. So go ahead and Simon, and you can take it away.
Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I deal with the super JSON code base. So if you have any questions about that on Blitz.js, I'm the one to ask on that. And today I'm going to talk about something totally non-Blitz related, and it's called RTW. It's a library I've been like, I wouldn't say creating, because it's really like a very rough prototype at the moment. But I've been working on it together with two friends, with Paul Sieben and with Jan Wilhelm, who's also from the Blitz community. And the idea behind RTW, I will show you a lot of demos afterwards, but the basic idea is to basically create React, but for live data on the backend. And it tries to, so it's a replacement, or could be a replacement for RxJS or for Node.js event streams, but it works in very interesting ways, which I will show you now. Let me share my screen. So you should see code now. And so RTW is already published on NPM, and it is for doing live data, right? So I'll just show you a very naive example of working with random numbers. We're going to create a new so-called live value called a random number, and that will take like a function, and then that function takes something called send. Don't worry about those curried functions. We'll go later. And this is like a live stream thingy now, and we can emit a new value by calling this send parameter. So what we're going to do is just to generate some data here. We're going to set an interval to, like, let's say 1,000 milliseconds. And every 1,000 milliseconds, we're going to send a random value, just something between 1 and 1,000. So this is going to execute every 1,000 milliseconds, and then every 1,000 milliseconds it will send something. And then we'll need to have some way of actually closing that stream again. So we're going to return like a cleanup function, like you maybe use from useEffect in React. And so in the cleanup, we're going to clear the interval with that interval ID. And now this random number thing is like a live stream. And what we can do is we can call random number.subscribe. We're going to give it some arguments. In this case, the arguments are none. And then we're going to give it something to actually execute when the new value is emitted. In our case, just log it to the console, please. And let's try this out. So let's increase this in size a bit. If we run node index.js, which is this file, it will just print some random numbers, right? Let's just put them after the floor around for easier readability. So some random numbers. And I guess this is not really impressive, right? It's just another way of making streams or anything. But what's really interesting is how you can work with these. So live values are more or less like where data comes into your system. And then you can create derived values to derive something else from those live values. So what we're going to do is we create a new derived value called odd or not. And it's a derived value. And that derived value, again, takes like a curried function. In this case, curried function that then returns another curried function. And now this thing can return any value. And in our case, it will return rather a random number mod 2 is actually 1. So if it is odd or not. And this is pretty magic. I'm just going to show you how this works. So instead of subscribing to a random number, what we can do is we can subscribe to odd or not. And if we now run index.js, we'll see that actually true or false, depending on whether the number is actually odd or not, is printed out into the console. And the magic thing about this is that this here looks like very normal, very sequential code, right? You just call the random number, check if it's odd or not, and then return that. But it still works with live data. And you may have guessed that's because of those nifty wrappers of make live value and make derived value. And we do a lot of like tracing behind the scenes. So the interesting thing is that because these things are like called through RTW or sort of not, but we get to do some analysis on what is calling what, and then we can trickle down changes from make live value to anything that is subscribed to that. But again, you may say this is not that great, right? Because we could just do, let's say, send and then here to 2 is 1 or something. But one of the cool things is that you can compose these together. So what we could do is we could multiply 2 random numbers. And then actually have the multiple printed out. Or another thing we could do is, so at the moment, it's just like one kind of random number, but we could give it arguments. So we could say we can pass the maximum number as an argument. So by default, it's 1,000, and then we can supply those here. So we can say, please multiply the random numbers up to 5, and then the other ones up to 10. And then you'll see that it will actually print out 2 numbers at a time every time, because it will subscribe to like 2 versions of that live value. There's the one that emits stuff up to 5 and one that emits stuff up to 10. And this still might seem very abstract because like it's just random numbers. How might I use that? I don't need live encryption things or anything. But think about it as like these live values that could be something from your database. So for example, you use Materialize or something, any database that has support for live updates. You could actually pass as an argument like a query that then this live value executes and passes down. And another thing you could do is you could have 2 live values that you depend on, one for data you're querying, and then another one for a live update on the rights and like the access rights of the user. And then you could have live like the access writing them. I didn't know what it's called. There's an English term for that. Yeah, and I brought like slightly more complicated example to show you another thing, which is called wiki.ts. So what this does is we have like essentially one big live value, which is called the wiki stream. And it basically subscribes to this HTTP thing. Let me show you what it actually does in a browser. So when you go to that site, you will see a large stream of all changes made to Wikipedia. It is insane. It's really big and it's really fast. And so what this live value does is it listens to that stream. Let me close this thing. It listens to that stream, and then it will update whenever there's a new line in that stream, right? So this thing will always be the most current value of that, like the most current change in Wikipedia. So that's why it's a live value. And then we do like some throttling here. So we only use actually like every second one, or let's throttle this even further to like every 10th one, just so this live value doesn't overflow for demonstration reasons. And what we can now do is we can create a list of the most active users. So what this does is, remember in what we've seen until now was we're going to make a derived value and then have a function return a function immediately, right? But in this case, the first function creates some state. This is state for this derived value. And in this case, it's just a record of which user made how many edits. So we have the state from a string, which is the username, to the number of edits. And this state is only created once per derived value instance. And what we then do is we return another function, and then this function is executed every time that the upstream dependencies, so in this case, the wiki live value changes. So whenever that value changes, we'll just increment our record. Then the current value of this derived value is this record. So what we can now do is let's just comment this out and actually, when we subscribe to the most active users, just again give it the arguments and console.log. I think we need to run TSC first. Yeah, let's actually chain that. And I guess it will complain because of this line. Why don't you like that? Oh, because you can't have the comments in your package.json. Okay, so now this is working, right? So every time a new edit is done, we see that this record is updating. So for example, we can see that Steinsplitter bot already 2 edits, Ido Robot 2, and then, so we have this big like high score list. And actually we'll like update every couple of seconds, and remember this is only like at 10% of the speed. And what, for example, we could do is we could create a tab 10 active users. So that's a derived value that takes the entries of most active users. So it takes this record and then it gets like the top 10 of those and then just their usernames. So if we subscribe to that, why doesn't this work? Oh, because it should be further down. Well, if we subscribe to that, we'll just see an actual like list of the most active people. Or another thing we could do is we could subscribe to, we could count the number of edits that were made by a bot. So in this example, we have like a state that is just a counter. And then whenever there's an action or like new edits in Wikipedia made that is by a bot, we increase it. And we do have a similar one for human edits, right? So this increases whenever there is an action that is not done by a bot. And now we could have a bots versus human thing which just subscribes to both number of human edits and number of bot edits and returns like the percentage of bot edits. And now what we have here is, I think I need to remove another line. No, I don't, okay. We'll actually see the percentage of how many Wikipedia edits are made by bots. And I expect this to go towards 22%. Okay, so this stopped after 10 seconds because I set a timer here to stop this thing after 10 seconds. Let's just comment that out. This should go towards 22%, I guess. And remember, so this is not polling, it updates every time there's a new live value. And like this is just a demo on what RTW can do. It is a very small library. I think it's like 170 lines in total. And it was a lot of fun building that because like it teaches you a lot about how to like think about these things and how to create the data structures behind that. And algorithmically, it's actually an interesting challenge. But I think from a from a like developer perspective, this is very interesting because this bridges different different programming idioms. Normally, for live data, you'd use something like Blitz.js, which is mostly called like functional reactive programming, right? And you need to start thinking about streams and thinking about all of these operations on those streams. And now with RTW, it's a bit different because in this case, you just have like a normal sequential function that is just re-evaluated every time it could change. And it's like live functions, basically. Yeah, and I found this very interesting, and I'd love to talk to you all about where you could imagine using this, whether you think it's a good idea, whether you'd use it, and yeah, just hear about your thoughts, your comments, your questions, and we have time for that now.
Yep. So are you using generators?
No, it does
Okay.
not use generators at all.
But it's the same kind of similar concept, isn't it?
Kind
It
of.
seems
So
like it. Okay.
generators, yeah, so generators are totally synchronous, I think. But yeah, it's a similar concept, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Have you used this on like a real project?
Not yet, no.
Okay. How do
Only
you
demos.
envision using it like in a SaaS app?
Yeah, so I think for there's a couple of things where this could be interesting. So one of the other authors, Jan, he is very interested in building anything real time because he works at a startup who do like a chat application. So chat is very inherently real time, and things that he would like to use this for is making, for example, real-time analytics about anything that comes from their backend, and having like a glue layer to stick together different real-time sources. For example, like he's been looking to Materialize. I don't know if you've heard of Materialize, but the way it works is you attach it to your Postgres, and it subscribes to like the change data stream, or change data capture, it's called. And then in Materialize, you can use SQL to query over live data streams, and you can actually use it to get live updates from SQL queries, which is very powerful. And you can't only like attaching it to Postgres is not the only thing you can do. You can also like attach it to Kafka or something else. But he's very interested in gluing together with different real-time APIs. So I guess one of the apparent actual use cases for this would be what I mentioned, having some data access and then some authorization thing, both being real time and being able to revoke access in real time or change the query depending on something else in real time. And like generally, I think you could use this everywhere you would use RxJS. At least conceptually. I don't want to say that this is anywhere near an RxJS in like scope or
Cool.
overall wellness.
Anyone else have questions?
So then for error handling, you would just put like a try catch in your derived value, or would there be like a
yes,
subscribe to
you
errors?
can actually, I think you can actually, I'm not sure, but I think you can actually do that here. Yeah. And it will also, so one thing you can see, so it seemed like you need to call derived values always on like the top level, similar to how you always need to use hooks on like the top level of your components, but you don't need to. And you can just conditionally use those things. And so like in the background, we build like a graph of what derived value depends on which other one. And when at some point one of those values goes unused, they are cleaned up immediately. So those resources aren't used anymore. But yeah, to answer your question, I think you could use try catch.
Well, that looks pretty cool.
when we built it, we built it in like a 2-day hackathon, just us three, and we're like, this is the best thing ever, and this will take over the world. And like a couple of days later, we're like, well, should we write documentation on this? We're not sure. Like,
Have you raised funding yet?
who knows? We applied for Stripe Atlas.
Would you see some use cases for this for, say, like live sensor data from IoT devices and different things like that?
Mm-hmm. Anywhere you have live data, yeah, sure.
Cool.
Ooh.
Any other questions? All right, then let's move on to our next presentation, which is by Matt. So take it away, Matt.
Yes, thanks. First
You
of
can
all,
you can introduce yourself.
yeah. Yeah, first of all, congrats for the demo, Simon. It was awesome. So yeah, I hope you are all doing well. Today I will talk about my experience building Budgie using Blitz.js and try to answer the question: Is Blitzjs a framework ready to build a cross-platform app? So I will share my screen. I have some slides. Is it working?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, first of all, I will present a bit myself. So I'm Mathieu. I'm software engineer at Traffic Labs, where I'm mainly doing front-end development. Traffic Labs is the company behind the reverse proxy / ingress controller Traffic that you maybe know. And as probably some of you, I'm passionate about coding and I like to do some side projects. And I'm mainly experienced with Next.js, React Native, Node.js. So a bit on the whole stack. Even, yeah, as I was saying, I'm mainly doing front-end work. So I will talk to you a bit about the project I built with Blitz. It's called Budgie. It's basically an app to track your recurring expenses, aka subscriptions. There is currently a web app, an iOS and Android app as well. Both are available on the native stores. The web app is also, by the way, a PWA. What's the story behind this project? So at the beginning, I decided, and it was mainly for me, that could be actually great to be able to track my recurring expenses, both my personal recurring expenses like Netflix, Spotify, this kind of stuff, but also like having some side projects, be able to track what it was actually costing me on a recurring basis. And it was, yeah, the idea, and I started coding that in October 2020. And end of the year, I had something working. And yeah, I was pretty happy. I had like few users. I didn't make any advertise about it. And early January, I just saw that, yeah, why not share it with others? And without too much expectation, I have done a product and launch. Yeah, as I was saying, it was really without any expectation. I didn't prepare the launch at all. Like a lot of people saying, yeah, you have to prepare it 1 month before, like reach your audience and all this stuff that I haven't done at all. And I have just launched it on a Sunday. Yeah, and I have a bit surprised because I got like really lot of good feedbacks. I finished fourth of the day, but yeah, I have been first and second like most of the day. So it has been amazing receiving a lot of feedbacks. And yes, days after I did just a bit the launch, and I just thought, yeah, why should I stop there? I should maybe listen those feedbacks, implement them, and yeah, just basically try to give a Blitzjs a chance to be something. And based on that, yeah, I started implementing the features people was asking for. And something that surprised me is that the biggest feedback I got is that, yeah, I like the idea. I like to use it on web, but actually I would prefer using it as a mobile application. So yeah, since I built the app using the web app using Blitzjs, I just like challenge myself building a mobile application using Blitz, and it has been a challenge. But I launched the iOS app in February and the Android app in March. So I will do a bit a small demo of the product, so you can see what is it. So here is the landing page for Blitzjs, and yeah, clicking it started. You are like redirecting to the web application. So this is pretty simple, pretty simple UI. It's basically listing your subscriptions and giving you some insights on what it costs you on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, with like some sorting features, like filter them by categories and this stuff. It's also warning you when will be your next due date. And you can obviously change your main currency. So for example, there I will set it as the euro. I'm saving my profile, and it's recalculating the cost. And it can also link the subscription that you will add to some known product like Airtable, Netflix, Spotify, as I was saying. So this is for the web application, and I will also do a small demo of the mobile part, the thing that you are maybe waiting for. So here we are on the simulator. So for the demo, I will connect using my email. Blitzjs is completely passwordless. A choice I made when I created a web app, but that has been a bit a challenge when I ported to mobile. So let's connect to my demo account. Here we are. This is the fun part, is that I have to verify my email then. We have our link. And I'm now connected with the same account on mobile, and it's actually Blitz.js behind the scene as a backend. And there the feature set is almost the same, except some minor stuff. I mean, it has been obviously adapted to mobile with nice animation, but also you are able to enable due date reminders. That I guess it's why Blitzjs is great on mobile. It's this way, enabling those reminders, you will receive push notification before a due date. Something that I have not shown on web is that also you can suspend a a subscription, and it will tell you what you will save on a yearly basis. So always always make you think if you have to keep a subscription or not. This is pretty much it. This is pretty much it for the demo parts. I will switch back to the slides. Here we are. So yeah, why Blitzjs? Why did I use Blitzjs? So as I was saying at the beginning, it was for creating a mobile application. Sorry, a web application. So Blitzjs was fitting all the needs I have. I'm only knowing as a coding language JavaScript, and yeah, Blitzjs is TypeScript on all the stack, so that's great. It's built on top of Next.js. I got some experience with Next.js, and it's zero API. It was something I wanted to try. It's, I guess, one of the main advantage of Blitz, and what's best than a side project to test it. It's almost 0 DB, if I can say that. I mean, you have just to write a schema, a push schema, and then with just a command line, it's generating migration files and update your DB. So that's also something pretty awesome. Speaking of things that are time winning, there is built-in authentication. So when you are like building recurrently products, it's always something you have to recode from start. So yeah, this is great to have it built in, and also it's sharing code between client and server. It's already something that could be saved for Next.js, but with the zero API thing, it's even more thing. So that's why I use Blitzjs. So let's talk a bit about the Blitzjs architecture. So on, as you have probably seen, the web app is splitted from the landing page. So for the landing page, I'm using Next.js, static export of the application. I didn't find the useful to use Blitz for this part. And for the web, I'm using Blitzjs, which is generating the web application, and also providing API for the React Native part. And yeah, the React Native code base is generating both the iOS and Android application. I'm using a PostgreDB for the data, and also using a project that maybe some of you know in this community. Yeah, Simon is the founder of that, Squirrel. That is something awesome if you want a queue for your application, and it's built on top of Redis DB. So now I will go a bit deeper into some features that I made with Blitzjs. This is something I found interesting, like seeing some other meetups. So I have done that for two features. The first one is multi-currency. So there I'm using a cron job running every day that is then triggering a Blitzjs API routes. And this API route is then fetching exchange weights from openexchangeWeights.org and update them in the DB, which give the ability then to calculate whatever the user put as currency. Another feature that is interesting to deep on is the due date reminders that I talk about on the mobile part, which is sending push notifications day before payments, subscription payments. And basically the way it's working is that on subscription update, if the user decided to turn on the reminder, it's then enqueuing a job using Quirrell, and it's saved in Redis. And yeah, the cron repetition is calculated based on the payment cycle. And then each time the job is processed, it's actually sending the notification to the user device tokens. Challenging parts also using Blitz, but also that have been a challenge with Budgie. First, for the Budgie part, it's that it's not making revenues, so it has to stay cheap. So I had to find some way to host the whole app in a cheap way. And the other challenge has been that at the start I used Vercel. I was used to host everything on Vercel, so I even not thought about it. It's just been built on top of Next.js. I used Vercel. And maybe as some of you that used Vercel with Blitz, it haven't worked so well due to some like call start reason, also because it's serverless, and serverless is not working great when you are like making queries to a DB. So I decided to choose something else, and I got really great feedback on the Discord community about Rounder. So I gave it a try, and actually it was working quite well with Blitz, and it's also quite cheap. So I hosted there the landing page, the web app, Quirrell, and the PostgreDB. And it's also free if your web app is static. Otherwise, I'm using upstash.com to host the Redis DB on the free tier, so that's great. They have a generous free tier. And for the cron job, not all the cron job, there is what I will call the queue or dynamic cron jobs that are handled by Quirrell, and for the cron that are running every day to update the exchange rates. On this part, I'm using EasyCron, that has also generous free tier. So this is a part that I a bit still to the Lowry presentation. That was quite interesting. What's in the box? On the web app, yeah, as I was saying, Blitz.js with Prisma and Passport for having a passwordless authentication. For the forms, I'm using Formic. It's not the default one, but it's actually the one I know the most, so I just use it. Chakra UI for as a component library, and Framer Motion for animations. And on the mobile parts, React Native, Expo, for those who don't know, it's basically a SDK built on top of React Native, providing more APIs or extended APIs. I'm also using Firebase, React Native Firebase for the analytics and the crash reporting, reanimated for animations, as well as Lottie. So now I will go a bit deeper into some challenges I had using Blitz with React Native. And the first one, which I guess is the biggest one, is authentication. Yeah, you probably know that Blitzjs is using a cookie-based authentication system, and yeah, this is the situation, and also the fact that usage of cookies on React Native, but generally on mobile, are a bit unreliable. We are not on a browser, so the question was, how to use the authentication flow that I already made, but with React Native. and how to deal with the cookies that was sent back by Blitz in React Native as well. So the solution I found is actually to open the auth pages, you know, the /API/auth/Google, Twitter, or whatever you implemented in the app browser. I'm speaking of the in-app browser, not the user default browser. You know, it's like when you open a link on for example, the Twitter native app, it's not opening it in the in-app browser. So I'm opening this URL with redirect one, which is basically the URL scheme, and doing that, since we are in a browser, we are able to get back the cookies. So then I'm using Expo Secure Store, which is something provided by Expo to save. It's like a key value store, but encrypted. And then before each HTTP request that I will make to the Blitz backend, to the Blitz API, I'm reading those cookies and I'm passing them in the body. Why the body? Because as I was saying, setting the cookies in the headers was a bit unreliable. Sometimes it was just not taken into account. So yeah, I've been a bit a mess debugging that and decided to put everything in the body to be sure that it's working 100% of the time. And then thanks to Blitz.js middlewares, I'm able to move those request body to the headers, which is working quite well. Bit hacky, but working quite well. And then since I have to keep my session in sync on each HTTP response, I'm updating the cookies saved in the Expo Secure Store. Here we are for this first challenge, but which, as I was already saying, it was the biggest one. It took me a lot of time finding a solution. And the challenge number 2 was around like dealing with data. With Blitzjs, it's no API. It's really simple. You just have to import your query or mutation and use it as a React hook, and it works. Basically, you can directly like fetch your data, mutate it, and yeah. So the question was how to do the same with React Native. And there the solution has been a bit easier to find, but it's still some time to implement, and also some time to keep in sync when you then update your APIs on the Blitzjs side. So the solution has been to code a use query and a use mutation hook that is basically using React query behind the scene. Those hooks have a custom HTTP feature, so it have to apply the logic that I explained in the first challenge. Then I applying some caching logic based on the resource name. In this small example I give, like it's subs update sub, so the resource is subs, so there is some caching logic to apply there to make it efficient. Even more since we are on mobile, we can't afford to make too much HTTP calls. Otherwise, yeah, it will to drain the user battery. And also nice to have is to persist the cache of React query using React Native async storage. And doing that, it has worked pretty well. And then I'm just able to directly reuse dynamically the mutation and queries I have in my Blitzjs app. So finally, coming to to a conclusion, why Blitzjs is a cross-platform framework. So for me, the answer is yes, it is, because yeah, you can see I have been able to build a mobile app. So you could do exactly the same on another platform. For example, if you wanted to do a desktop application, I can reuse the same backend. But I think that we are also agree that Blitzjs is not just an API framework, right? It's way more than that. You have this no API feature. You have this built-in authentication system, and I'm probably missing some other stuff, but yeah, it's more than just a API framework. So the answer is also no, it's not actually really today a cross-platform framework if the framework is all the feature set that is provided in Blitz. And I think that there is some things that could be maybe added, improve to make it a bit easier to build a mobile application. I don't know, but I have already some ideas in mind, but trying to find a way to keep in sync the queries and mutation you will code on the website to have them also on your like other platform code base. But yeah, if we say that, but if you want to give it a try, it's possible. There is no like technical issue to build your mobile application or desktop application using Blitz as a backend today. I hope that it will maybe help some of you that are currently or that want to build a mobile application using Blitz. And also that it's also maybe a point to discuss to improve a bit Blitz for building mobile applications. And I'm okay to answer any question you have, like regarding any either budget or yeah the usage I made of Blitzjs itself. And also, if you want to reach me on either Twitter, Discord, if you have questions regarding the implementation I made, get some helps, I'm there.
Thank you, Matt. That was awesome. And I just realized that I had chat disabled, and I did not mean to do that. So chat is enabled. You can ask questions in chat, and you can unmute yourself and ask a question as well. Congrats on your like getting whatever it was, like in the top 5 on Product Hunt. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
as I was saying, it was a Sunday, so it's not the same as launching a product during the week. There is like less people the weekend, and also
Yeah.
but also yeah, it's also a better chance to be in the top 10.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, if I could give an advice to someone that want to launch a small project, better to do it on the weekend.
That's cool. I think everyone is speechless. You did such a good job.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey.
Yeah, so thank you for coming here and giving the presentation. So I had this question that how did you connect React Native and Blitz app? So you like rendered your main component from Blitz into React Native's app.jsx, or how did you do it?
Yeah, actually, we coded everything I made on the React Native side. So yeah, if you know React Native, you also know that you can't use div, span, or all those stuff. You have to use view and text, and yeah, the API is not actually the same. After that, I know that it could be done differently. If I had to redo the budget today, I will maybe do the things a bit differently, because there is also the React Native Web project, and also I know that Expo is providing that an API to use the React Native API also on web. But since at the beginning I hadn't the plan to do a mobile app at all, this is not something I thought about. And there is not just React Native for creating a mobile application. I know that there is other solution that maybe could be better to have one code base for both the web part and the mobile parts to avoid rewriting the UI.
So you, in this project, you didn't share any components between these. You just wrote the web app and then the mobile app, and then the mobile app connected to the auto-generated API endpoints from Blitz, right?
Yeah, that is. I'm mostly using Blitz.js as an API. So that's why I'm saying that I'm really sure that the whole process could be improved, that I would have done things differently if I was knowing that I had to do a mobile application. And also now that I have experienced that, I think that things could be either better on my side coding the project, but also there is some stuff on the Blitzjs side that could make it easier to integrate. I can also share the slide link if you want to access it. pitch.com.
You can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I will put it in the chat and also on Discord.
Cool.
Stop the sharing.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to confirm on the same question. So what did you do with your style sheets and all the view part of the source code? Like they are also sharing, or they are also written into a separate code base?
And the thing that I have done to avoid and keeping at least a bit in sync the style is, since I was using Chakra UI on the mobile parts, and since you have this theme config, the thing that I have done is reuse the same configuration also on the React Native side, even if I had to recode the components. So this way, I just have to keep in sync this file to be sure that if I update a color on one side, it's updated also on the other side.
So they are two separate code bases. He didn't share the style sheets between the app. They're separate.
No, that's not a mono repo.
But yeah, and whether it could be a mono repo, but still have the same setup.
Yeah, you're right. But no.
Okay. We have time for one more question. All right, then I think we'll just go ahead and end. Thank you so much, Matt and Simon. Simon already left. Thank you, all of you attending. It's great to see you. And keep in touch with the Blitz Discord to see when the next meetup will be. And if you're interested in giving a presentation at a future meetup, either a lightning talk or a full presentation, please let me know. And it can be a presentation on a project you built, or it can just be on a general React thing, or like state management or APIs or HTTP. Like there's anything related to building full stack apps, we'd love for you to be able to present on. and we're always looking for more presenters. So thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day today and an awesome weekend, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Ben.